Downtown Portland office buildings hit the market as tenants move out and rents drop. What's going on? Why would commercial properties being sold? Why would commercial buildings being liquidated in downtown Portland? I mean, it's just everything's hunky-dory there. Oh, it's not. Oh. We know the drill. We've been talking about this forever, right? I mean, since the race riots happened a couple of years ago, and then you had the whole Antifa thing, and then lawlessness just kind of taking over, defunding of the police, record numbers of police leaving, lateral moves to other agencies, retiring. Downtown Portland's got an issue. And we're going to read about this, but it's not the only city on the West Coast that's had this happen to its downtown core. But Portland's got its own special circumstances. That's what we're going to get into. And that's what I found interesting about this article is the title makes it seem like, we're just, some profit takings going on with the buildings. And in reality, the story should read, tenants move out because it's not safe. Vacancy rates skyrocket. Nobody wants to rent in these specific districts in downtown Portland. It's what's going on. There's districts like this in downtown Seattle as well. One of the major stories going on in downtown Seattle is, we're spending an awful lot of overtime money on police on these, where they've got these mobile units in front of certain sections of downtown, specifically in the International District, South Jackson Street, and then the Blade in downtown Seattle between Pike and Pine on 3rd Avenue. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on overtime because we're trying to keep these areas safe. So, Portland's not the only one, but Portland has its own particular set of special circumstances. That's what we call these in the real estate industry, right? Now, we're not going to sugarcoat it. We're going to talk about it as is. Before I jump on in, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies and I read the news. Would love, if you appreciate my content, would love to have you subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That lets you know each time I have a video coming out, which is twice a day, Monday through Friday, once on Saturday, once on Sunday. So I know there's a lot of fans out there that tune into each episode. Thank you so much. Also, like the video. Hit the like dealio if you like this video. That lets YouTube know, hey, this is good content. And then they push it out and yep, it makes sense for everybody. So thanks in advance for doing that. Let's jump on in. I saw this title and I thought, okay, this has got to be what I think it is, but we're kind of sugarcoating it. And then you get 3/4 of the way into the article and you're like, yep, that's what I want to read right there because that's the truth, right? One by one, the tenants of the Mason Ehrman Building in Old Town bailed. They're just, gotta go. This isn't safe. Can't do business here. Yep, gotta go. The building's largest client, an ad agency, said it was leaving even with 4 years left on the lease. They are breaking their lease. We'll see you in court. So when that happens in these situations, if they can prove that, it's not safe, they may have an argument in court, breaking their lease and not paying for it. Maybe they just pay for this lease and say, yeah, you know what? Sayonara. We're going to prepay this lease. We're going to book it out of here because we don't want any of our employees having a safety issue go down, right? Because the police simply in Portland can't keep the streets safe in these areas, don't have enough cops, and you've got crime just kind of running on the rampant. Now, they are trying to get a handle on this stuff. It's going to take a long time, and you don't have enough cops to keep all these areas safe. You just don't. And the criminals know it, and they're just out doing their thing. So even with 4 years left on the lease, this company bails. Their employees did not feel comfortable going to and from the office. Here's the kicker, even with escorted security guards. Yeah, I'm not going out there. I know you've got a gun, but so does that guy. I mean, literally, you're walking out of your building with a private escort, security escort who is armed, and you don't feel comfortable? What does that say about city leadership? What does that say? Yeah, it says there is none, right? And that is what has happened in Portland. So we've got, even with escorted security guards, said Todd Gooding. He's the president of Scanlon Kemper Bard, the Portland firm that owns the building. When occupancy fell below 10%, that means less than 1 out of 10 of the tenants are still there. SKB, as it's known, that's for Scanlon Kemper Bard, the owner of the building, decided it too needed to cut ties with Old Town. It put the Mason Ehrman Building up for sale a month ago. Now, commercial buildings in cycles, they get sold for different reasons. People do profit taking. It's a nice way of just saying, yeah, we're selling that bad boy because we're not really sure what's going on here. Maybe you've got restructuring of a company. Maybe you've got an underperforming building. Maybe you've got a building that needs massive renovation. Company that owns it doesn't want to take that on. They'll sell it to an investor who brings in, crews and remodels it, and just the overall cycle of a building. But in Portland, you've got a number of these buildings that are all kind of in the same demographic that are being put on the market. And that's the story. The story is Portland can't keep this section of town safe. Period. And people are liquidating their buildings. SKB is not alone. After 2 years of dealing with a pandemic that resulted in hundreds of thousands of workers working from home, and now with widespread concerns about crime and personal safety, or lack thereof, as the case is in downtown Portland, some major downtown landlords are trying to liquidate. Through public and private listings and interviews with real estate brokers and owners, the Oregonian has determined that more than 12 significant office buildings in the downtown core are on the market or have been recently. There are more office buildings of all asset classes for sale than at any time in the past decade, said Nate Sasaki of Apex Real Estate Partners in Portland. You got a bunch of owners bailing on buildings. This is not necessarily a unique scenario though, right? So the article goes on to say total lease space is down another 500,000 square feet. Net absorption across the urban core down 1.8 million square feet. I'm not going to bore you with the details, but the numbers are not going in the right direction for commercial real estate in downtown Portland. Let's put it that way. Kind of like the numbers on inflation aren't going in the right direction right now. Gas prices not going in the right direction. Food prices, energy price. Is anything going in the right direction? Mortgage rates just boom, got whacked over 6%. I mean, you've got some stuff going on that is like record setting in the wrong direction. This is one of those things where things are dropping. Yeah, the number of square feet rented dropping, number of tenants in the market dropping, number of owners of commercial buildings in downtown Portland. Yeah, that's dropping that want to own the buildings because of public safety issues. People don't want to walk to their car, even with an armed escort. That kind of tells you something, right? I mean, you're just like, oh, what's going on there? Well, city leadership, there is none. There is none. And the leadership that's been there has just destroyed years and years and years and years of work of previous generations of city leadership, right? What can possibly go wrong here? We'll defund the police. We'll let Antifa just run loose. What could go? I mean, they're mostly peaceful, right? Mostly. Yeah. It doesn't appear that any of Portland's trophy high rises are among the buildings now available. That is your indicator right there. All right. So the trophy high rises in other areas of town, those are not being sold. Those are still performing, right? Most are smaller, older structures that have been acquired and repositioned for smaller software, marketing, and professional service firms. So these are the smaller 1, 2, 3-story type buildings you see all boarded up on the bottom floor. These are those types of buildings. There are many reasons, the pandemic being the most damaging. Okay, yeah, we know that. So we know that commercial real estate has been down because everybody's, let's work it from home forever until, this working from home thing isn't working out. Everybody back to the office. So we know we've got that going on across the United States, right? So Portland's problems are mirrored across much of the country. And I'm going to skip a bunch of this stuff and go with Portland's central office vacancies are lower than Phoenix, Denver, Oakland, and well below Dallas and Houston. So those major markets, Phoenix, Denver, Oakland, and Dallas and Houston, have more vacancies overall in the downtown core. But I think what you're seeing here is you are seeing a specific sub-market in downtown Portland. And because of the protests and because of Antifa and because of crime, it's more specifically in recent times, straight up crime that's going on. You got the shootings going on. You got craziness going on. You got boarded up buildings. And so, property investors, owners of these commercial buildings are going, yeah, I don't think so. Let's move on to our next market, wherever that is, anywhere but Portland. So some of these numbers are bound to improve as back to work trend picks up momentum. Okay, yeah. But Portland brokers and owners say Portland faces its own set of unique challenges. Oh, what's that? What do you mean? One building owner in documents filed publicly with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, made the case to its investors that doing business in Portland is particularly untenable, meaning no can do. Yeah, we don't want to do business in Portland. Why is that? I mean, Portland's a beautiful town. Rivers, ocean, mountains, great shopping, great restaurants, microbrews. It's got it all. What's going on? Well, we know the story, right? Boarded up, Antifa, riots, just craziness. And we just kind of Portland just let things go, just let things get out of control. City leadership. Mayor Ted even came right out and basically just said, I don't really know what to do here. This isn't good. What are we doing? An affiliate of powerhouse real estate investor KBS Partners bought the Commonwealth Building, one of famed architect Pietro Bellusci's creations, in 2016, so 6 years ago, for $69 million. Decent sized building, right? Significant-ish building in Portland. The new owner proceeded to spend additional millions on amenities like a 2,500 square foot rooftop patio. And you got to have that. What are you even doing with a building if you don't have a rooftop patio? No, for those 2 days a year where it gets really sunny in Portland, that's awesome. A concierge-like attendant in the lobby and huddle rooms for small private meetings. You need a huddle room. It's right over there. You just walk in there. You got a private meeting going on. When the bad times hit, occupancy plummeted. The KBS Growth and Income REIT, Real Estate Investment Trust, the arm of KBS that owns Commonwealth Building, informed investors that due to the bleak prospects for its office properties, it intended to liquidate all of its assets, including buildings in cities across the country. But crafting an orderly liquidation plan is proving more difficult than expected, in part because of problems specific to the Commonwealth Building and Portland. Yeah. So we're saying, all right, we know there's going to be tough times with some of these buildings. Numbers are down, not going in the right direction. Numbers are going to take a while to get back around. But the Commonwealth Building in Portland, yeah, it's particularly difficult. Downtown Portland is experiencing record high office vacancies and is uncertain when the market will fully recover. Uncertain. We don't know if it will fully recover given the situation right now. The company said in its March quarterly income report, Portland, we're not really bullish on Portland. In fact, we're hedging the other way. The cause of the steep deterioration? The impact of the disruptions caused by protests and demonstrations and increased crime in the downtown area. Whammy. There you go. Let alone all the police quitting, right? So now you don't have the number of police you need for public safety in an area like downtown Portland. You've got shootings galore happening in the burbs, right? You just got people shooting each other willy-nilly. So then the downtown core, it's already had an elevated crime rate. It's just, at times I'm sure it seems like a free-for-all. In the last 18 months, occupancy at the Commonwealth plummeted. It went down in 18 months from 87% to 52%. That is a massive, massive drop in the commercial world. Those are crazy numbers. That's the lowest of any of the properties owned by this company. The building is now worth $14.3 million less than what they paid for it, according to appraisals. All right, so let's take a look at that. So we paid $69 million, and an appraisal came in at 54 and change. So that appraisal is probably high by a quick 10 million would be a total guess. Moving forward with extrapolated rents and drops in occupancy and vacancy rates being what they are. I am totally spitballing here, but that property is probably worth 25 million less than what they paid for it, real world, appraisal aside. Because you don't really know what something is worth until you put it on the market and try and sell it, right? Otherwise, you've got comparable sales that may not be identical, but it's what's going on. So let's call it an even $20 million less in 18 months on 69 million. Yeah, those are not good numbers. You put that building on the market and it sells. Yeah, we had to take a little hit there because we didn't want any of our employees to die and or be maimed by said anonymous crime people. Criminals in downtown Portland, right? Portland, unfortunately, continues to suffer through the social unrest that has damaged the city above and beyond the impacts of the ongoing pandemic. There you go. So you got a situation where, yes, buildings on the West Coast and on the East Coast have been impacted. I mean, everywhere was impacted. You guys are all going to work from home and you're going to love it. Until they didn't. And now people are trying to get back to the office a day or two a week. Varying companies have, different ways of handling that. You can only attribute some of these issues to that. This big of a drop of value, yeah, you've got some major considerations, right? So social unrest, lack of police officers. Yeah, the story is not new. Tenants have been leaving the central business district when leases are expiring, either to pursue remote working strategies or, in many cases, signing leases in the suburban markets where employee safety isn't a major concern as it is, unfortunately, in the downtown market. That's wild. That, to me, is wild. Another pair of downtown buildings recently changed hands under pressure, under duress. That's not an open market generated sale, is it? No, it's not. So we've got a particular building here in the article, it goes on to say, and the Manchester Capital, the investor that owns it, threw the keys back to the loan servicer. That's what you do on a house that's wildly underwater, right? And by underwater, I mean, it's worth, say, $1 million and you've got debt on it of $2 million. Not uncommon during the Great Recession. You throw the keys and or just leave the house wide open because you don't care. You are negative $1 million in equity. Let the lender deal with it. Let them foreclose on it. Many downtown owners share one common sentiment, a deep and abiding resentment towards the city for what they consider to be a tepid response to the diminished condition of downtown. Portland's leadership hasn't done anything to make it better. They just haven't. They've just let things go. It's a perfect example of leadership not doing anything as far as leadership goes. Should have never let those riots get out of hand like they did. Need to quash that. Need to quash Antifa. You really do. Because otherwise this stuff goes on and this stuff takes way longer to unwind. You're going to have a bunch of these buildings sell. You're going to have a bunch of these buildings sit on the market. It's going to get worse. You're going to have more vacant buildings. That's kind of the way this goes. Then you'll have a turnaround and by then you'll have maybe some new leadership, maybe a new mayor and hopefully some more police officers, but don't hold your breath on that because it just takes so long to get all these cops through the cycle to get them out there. So you've just got this crazy story of, yeah, well, you let it happen. Here you are. And now you've got investors who based on money, not based on ideological differences. It's okay. The homeless people, they're mostly okay. Antifa, it's a myth. Well, no, now we're saying no. As investors of these buildings in downtown Portland, we want out. We are selling them. It's not safe for us to own these. We don't want to own them. And also the tenants don't want to rent from us. They're bailing on 4-year leases. That's a super expensive lease to get out of. I would think that they would probably try and get out of that in court. You know what? Just sue us. Just go ahead and sue us. We'll figure that out in court down the road. Wild, right? Because of city leadership in a major North American city like Portland. Just let things go. This is an excellent example of what happens when you let leadership like this take over a town. Yeah, this is where you're at. This is not reasonable. This is wildly unreasonable. And unfortunately, it's going to take Portland a long time to unwind this. And maybe the commercial market comes back faster than other areas of the city. But right now, the commercial market is probably having this segment of the commercial market is having the greatest, it looks like, impact from all the craziness that happened in Portland and continues to happen in Portland. Just so many wild stories. You know, it used to be Florida. Now it's Portland. It's like, you even hear it in rap songs, you know, lit up like Portland. You know, that was in reference to the Antifa and Black Lives Matter, just basically lighting the city on fire. Yeah, there was that. Nothing says progress like lighting a North American city on fire. All right. I'm going to leave you with that, but that's what's going on in Portland and P-Town. There you go. All right. Thanks so much for being here. Again, love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like button if you like this video. Thanks again. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.